Why, welcome ladies and gentlemen to yet another dinosaur video. We're starting to build up a decent little collection to the channel now, or I think for definitely over 10 dinosaur videos. I think this might be the 14th or 15th, I might be incorrect with saying it. The dinosaur we're going to prioritise and focus on today goes by the name of Majungasaurus, or, we're going to say its other name, Mahajanga, scientist, goddammit, Mahajanga lizard, or Mahajanga lizard. This large theropod lived during the Cretaceous period, or late Cretaceous period, and was originally called Majungasaurus, or Majungasaurus. Hope you enjoy the video, ladies and gents. There's a lovely artist's impression of a late Cretaceous landscape, but moving on, Majungasaurus lived during the Cretaceous period some 70 to 66 million years ago. The genus is actually only known from one species called Majungasaurus crenatamus, if I was to pronounce the word, but we'll hear more about that later. All known species of Majungasaurus have been recovered from the Manavero Formation in the Mahajanga province in northwestern Madagascar. Like today, Madagascar had separated from the Indian subcontinent some 20 million years ago, before Majungasaurus was even actually alive. Size-wise though, Majungasaurus was a medium-sized theropod that typically measured 6 to 7 metres or 20 to 23 foot in length, with some larger specimens probably reaching sizes of about 8 metres or 26 foot. Apologise for that is just my cat's bell in the background as he's scratching himself, aren't you, Mr. Luca? But moving on, sorry for that lack of professionalism. The weight and mass rise, Majungasaurus averaged just over 1 tonne at about 1,100 kilograms, and larger specimens may have reached half a tonne in weight. Like all abelisaurids, the hind limbs are short and stocky compared to body length, with the tibia, or lower leg of Majungasaurus, being even stockier than its relative Carnosaurus, which I've also covered in a previous video. Finally, Majungasaurus was a carnivore and would have hunted other dinosaurs in the region and probably scavenged on other corpses. Here's a lovely little creepy Majungasaurus image we got, under a little black background. But moving on, French paleontologist Charles Dupree, I'm going to call him Dupree because my pronunciation's awful with French names, described the first theropod remains from Madagascar in 1896, which included 2 teeth, a claw, and another vertebrae, discovered along the Bestolkia River, I think that is. Dupree referred to the fossils as the genus, or he actually put the fossils into the genus Megalosaurus, which at the time was known as a wastebasket taxon, and it was actually incorrect because it wasn't a megalosaur. But it was not actually until 1998 that Majungasaurus was assigned to the correct taxon, or abelisaurids. And at one point even, it was actually Majungasaurus was actually thought to be a pachycephalosaur, such as Parasaurolophus, which I covered in one of my previous older videos. I think that's correct, or pachycephalosaur. Well, it might be Pachycephalosaurus, which was a dome-headed like dinosaur that used its head for possibly intraspecific competition amongst similar species. Well, this lovely but rather extravagant blue image of a Majungasaurus is from the Jurassic World game, which I play myself on my little iPhone 5C, with Majungasaurus being one of the first carnivorous dinosaurs you actually start with on the game. It's believed that Majungasaurus may have adapted a feeding strategy similar to modern like felines, with short and broad snouts that only required 1 bite to hold and to possibly subdue prey, so they can actually kill prey in 1 bite once they latch onto them. Quite similar to lions, the way they hunt zebra, gazelle and wildebeest. Majungasaurus had a very broad snout, even amongst the belosaurids, which supports the bite and hold hunting technique which mentioned previously. Majungasaurus was the largest predator within its environment and would have hunted the only large herbivore actually in its environment, which is a sauropod known as Respiratory. I've actually heard of this dinosaur before researching Majungasaurus, so I might have to give that a look as well. But moving on, although sauropods would have definitely been the preferred dinner time choice for Majungasaurus, in 2007 remains were found of other Majungasaurus specimens with wounds and teeth marks on the same species, which actually led scientists to the sort of pretty obvious conclusion that Majungasaurus was possibly a cannibal that would have actually eaten smaller, poor little timid other Majungasauruses. Here are just some delightful chompy facts for you, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoy, and I hope you like this little terrifying image of a Majungasaurus in the background. I like to think it's Majungasaurus, but sometimes Google Images is not always accurate. But moving on, The Indominus Rex from Jurassic World is made up of DNA from Majungasaurus, Carnotaurus, Gigantopithecus, and Rogops. Mahajanga was a terrifying carnivore even to its own species, as Mahajanga was a cannibal and would have preyed on smaller, weaker Mahajangauruses it would have found. Mahajanga actually was once identified as a Pachycephalosaurus. Although this, at this actually time, this was hugely incorrect, as Pachycephalosauruses were actually herbivores, and Majungasaurus was a carnivore, and it was actually assigned to the correct taxon and genus by the name of Abelisaurids. Well, here's a beautiful little image of our lovely Majungasaurus and some sort of duck, and you might think what relevance this has, but we'll talk about this now. Scientists have actually managed to reconstruct the respiratory system of Majungasaurus based on beautifully preserved vertebrae. Most of these vertebrae and some of the ribs contain cavities called pneumatic formilia, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but you have to go and have a look at that could possibly result from infiltration of avian-style lungs and air sacs. These air sacs may have actually allowed for a basic form of flow-through ventilation, where the airflow through the lungs is only one way. There's only one-way traffic. This allows oxygen-rich air that is inhaled from outside the body, so it is actually never mixed with exhaled air combined with carbon dioxide, or laden with carbon dioxide, I should say. So overall, it's a more complicated method of oxygenation for the body. It's actually much more effective, so it's actually keeping the animal's respiratory system a lot healthier. Here we've got a beautifully lovely image of a skeleton in a little white background. But perhaps the most distinctive feature of Majungasaurus is the swollen and fused nasals and a frontal horn on the skull. Other known ceratosaurs such as Carnotaurus, Rajasaurus, and Ceratosaurus itself bore crests on the head as well, but it's likely that these features played a role in what is known as intraspecific competition, although the exact function is unknown. And to talk about intraspecific competition, just in case you don't know, it just means it's competition amongst the same species, but if it was inter-specific competition, for inter I mean as in Inter Milan, the football team, just to map for that wording, that's competition amongst different species. I really do love images like this. I do find them very cool with the little schematic and bones. But moving on, the only known species of Majungasaurus goes by the name of Majungasaurus God, paleontologist sometimes. Cretatimus, that's what I'm going with, Cretatimus. With the name actually derived from the Latin word meaning cretatus, meaning notched, and the suffix being ismus, meaning most, which is a reference to the serrations on both the front and rear edges of the teeth. I do wonder why paleontologists have to make the name as complicated as humanly possible, but in the end it actually does make sense. Just thought I'll finish off with this lovely image of a Abelosaurid. I think it is a Majungasaurus, but it's just difficult to differentiate between every dinosaur. Do we know really 100% what each dinosaur looked like, even with all this facts and evidence we got, until we actually recreate a dinosaur, which would be amazing, but not sure how likely that is. I think this Majungasaurus is just looking up to the little Repetosauruses in the background most likely and thinking I'm going to have some tasty nom-noms tonight. But overall, ladies and gents, as always, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy the video, or even if you didn't join or thought my information was a lot of rubbish, feel free to comment. Feel free to like or dislike the video, because I'm open to criticism. And join the Raptor Pack today if you did enjoy this by subscribing to my channel. And have a pleasant day wherever you are in the world. Goodbye for now.